Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. Today I have a beer from a new brewery that I don't think I've done a review for yet. This is from Strange Roots Brewing Company out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They have a very interesting past. Have you ever heard of Dry Log Brewing? That's them. They did a rebranding, but they've rebranded not their name but their business like literally 5 times at this point. It's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. So they started out doing traditional Belgian stuff, but not sour stuff. It was just like all Belgian ale type things, and the brewery or the tap house was really weird. You would go in there, it was like super dark, and the servers were wearing shirt and tie, and they had like classical music playing and all kind of weird stuff. And then I guess they realized that people weren't really taking to that, so they changed up. They got rid of that shtick, and then they kind of made it like a regular tap room. But then it was like really, really bland. It was like you were drinking in a fire hall, which was also weird. And at that point, they started doing like actual mixed culture type stuff. Um, and then they bought another like production brewery somewhere else, and then they rebranded the tap house again, to give it more of an up to date feel, which I did like when they did that. It had more of a just a welcoming feel to it. Nothing had really changed with their beer. And then they rebranded again for a fourth time, into Strange Roots instead of Dry Log, and they stopped just doing Belgian and or sour stuff, and they started doing all kinds of different styles. And that's kind of where they sit today. Oh, and in between all that, they signed a deal with Shelton Brothers, and they're distributed in a bunch of different states now, but like only in small quantities. That's why I said you might have heard this if you're not from Pittsburgh. You might have heard of them if you're not from Pittsburgh, because they do distribute through Shelton Brothers, but I think their distribution is very small compared to most of the other ones because their production's not that big. But anyways, this beer is called Moto. It is Imperial Stout conditioned on Almond Joy candy bars, toasted coconut, and chocolate. 10.0 ABV. And you probably can't tell from this picture because it looks just like a pounder can, but this is not a 16-ounce can. This is a 500 milliliter can, so it's 16.9 ounces. Not that that matters that much, but I just thought that was interesting because I don't know anyone else that's using 500 milliliter cans. And this can also just feels like super heavy. I don't know why. I wonder. We'll see when I open it up. I haven't had a clean stout from these guys ever. Or I honestly don't even know if I've had a stout from them since they rebranded to Strange Roots. So kind of curious how this is. It could be great. It could be terrible. I have literally zero expectations one way or the other going into this, because a lot of people kind of crapped on them in Pittsburgh, because they did do some really goofy stuff. They made beers that were fermented with yeast that they got off of like a 200-year-old like chest that they found in a flea market. Just all kind of they did a blue cheese beer. They do all kind of weird gimmicky stuff, but the thing is, some of them actually turn out really good. So I would be lying if I said I've never had a good beer from them, because I've had several good beers from them, but I've also had some really weird messed up stuff too. So they're kind of all over the place. Back to this beer, it pours a pretty dark brown. There's beige carbonation around the edge of it, but pretty small. The aroma, I mean, there's definitely some roasted malts. It's a little like peanut buttery, like whenever places put peanut butter powder in beers, which is weird because there's no peanut butter or there's no peanut butter flavoring in this. I do get something that's like a little estery, which seems like stressed yeast from the high alcohol or something like that. It reminds me of like a Weyerbacher stout because theirs were always like super boozy. And then something like a little smoky too, but I don't really pick up any chocolate or coconut. So, I will admit I'm probably drinking this probably older than it should have been drinking. I've had this for a little while. I don't know what this tasted like fresh, but it's not. I do get some chocolate, but I don't really get any coconut. I actually get something that I would probably guess was vanilla more than coconut, but I'm assuming it's not because it just doesn't say there's vanilla in this. It's a little sweet, but what I will say about it is all of the stout characteristics underneath that is very good. It has a nice, robust bitterness and smokiness. And there's a little bit of like the dark fruit flavor that you can get from stout sometimes. I said it was estery in the aroma, but it's not like super over the top. I actually think that the fact that it doesn't have those things in it is a good thing because this is just a good stout. Yeah, I I'll say I'm surprised. Um, I kind of thought that it was going to be the opposite of this, where it was going to be a shit stout and there was just going to be a bunch of flavorings added that was not very good. But it's actually a complete flip of that. Um, so I understand why some people might not like this. I have a friend down here who's told me that, who's also from Pittsburgh, but he lives down here in Charlotte. When I was up there, he's like, "Yeah, I don't want any of the strange root stuff. I don't really like their stouts." But that person loves like the super sweet, super adjuncted flavored stouts. So when he said that he didn't like them, that's why I was kind of confused, having not had it before. So I was thinking maybe it doesn't have all that stuff in it, and maybe it actually is like a bigger traditional stout, and that's really what I'm getting here. Um, I am. I know I said I went in this with no expectations, but that was probably a lie a little bit. To be honest, I think I expected it. I expected not to like it that much. Um, I guess I meant more that I had no expectations of it being good. But I I enjoy this a lot. I'm not gonna lie. That's tasty. Like I said, it does have those little bits of ester, like the little estery character that makes me think it was like fermented a little too hot. Um, but it's pretty minor, and there's almost like a cinnamon quality to it too, which is weird because that's obviously not in here either. Um, I don't know, but I like this beer. I'm not gonna lie, and I am pretty surprised. I really like this. Uh, and I said initially that this was pretty sweet, but the more I drink it, it's really not that sweet compared to, you know, a lot of stouts today. And I was thinking of what I would compare this to. And I actually think it's somewhat similar to uh, the Siberian. Is it called Siberian Tiger? From Westbrook, the non-cake adjuncted Imperial Stout that they do. I think it's called Siberian Tiger. This is actually, I think this is similar to that. And drinking this makes me more intrigued to try some of their other stuff, whether it be this base or, some of their other. I haven't had any of their sour stuff in a while. They do some good sour stuff. They did some really bad sour stuff too. So, but yeah, again, if you're going into this like wanting something super desserty with the almond joy and what just said, so it's just all there's almond joy in it, and then it's toasted coconut and milk chocolate. So toasted coconut and chocolate. I do get the chocolate. I don't really get the coconut. I get something that I might attribute to being like vanilla, but not really coconut. But that's fine. But if you want something super coconut and chocolate forward, even though I said that this is a little old, there's no way that it was like super coconut forward to begin with if it tastes like this now, because I'm really not getting any coconut at all. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think this is a really nice stout. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just it's well made, and I'm surprised, and I like it, and I'm glad that I got it. So I would, on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I would give this a buy. I don't know what these cost, but I'm guessing if they're just in regular cans and they're throwing stuff in it, it's probably like $6 a can or something. I would buy this again for $6 a can. It's just a nice, tasty stout, is what it is. But yeah, I think that's all I got on this one. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks.